Welcome to my first Videocast, and this is just going to be episodes of posts I put up on bitesizebschool.com and do them in a video version. So I'm supplying media where people can read the post, like you can go, as you can here if you go to the website, or you can listen to it on podcast, or you can watch it through the Videocast. And this will be part of my YouTube channel, and I plan to do these regularly. This post I'm starting off with is my first 2 months of selling eBooks on Amazon, and rather than just reading the post verbatim, which might be kind of boring, I'm going to kind of summarize it and do an abridged audio version of the post and just give you the main points of what this is. And since this is the first episode, I'll give you a little background on what Bitesize Business School is as well. So Bitesize Business School is a website that I created to house content I'm going to be putting out for entrepreneurs. And the goal is basically to create a website that will be an MBA for entrepreneurs without having to spend the 2 years worth of school in an actual MBA program. And there are a lot of MBA programs that don't focus on entrepreneurship. They're very good for you if you're planning to go into the corporate world and be an employee in the corporate world and build an existing large business, but how to start from scratch, that's where they fall apart. That's where MBAs fall apart. At least most of them do. So let's get into this post, and I'll kind of describe what's going on here. So I published 2 books in October, beginning of October. And those books were, which you can see the covers here, these are actually the paperbacks: Responsive Web Design Overview for Beginners, a technical book, and Career Forward, Do You Need an MBA to Succeed, which was actually a year-long project. And I enrolled in Amazon's KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. That's what this gray box is here. It's just a definition of that. And that gives you 90 days, basically, to 90 days of exclusivity that you have to stay inside of the KDP program on Amazon. You can't sell your books anywhere else. And in exchange, they give you 5 days you can promote your book for free. Now they got a new feature called countdown timers that you can start your book at a price and set an ending price. And so on the first day it starts at this lower price, and each day it increases to the ending price, which is supposed to encourage buyers. And I have links to each book here as well with a little bit of detail. And if you click this, it'll bring you to the book on Amazon. And then here's the one for Career Forward. If you click here, it'll bring you to this book on Amazon. So as you can see, I did both Kindle and paperbacks. I started with the Kindles first. And for Career Forward, there were some things that I did in here that made it a little more difficult to translate into paperback. So I learned my lessons, and when I did responsive web design, I made sure to write it so it was formatted very well for paperback. And I plan to put out a small course that will show how to do that formatting and make things very easy, because I think with paperbacks, they're an excellent opportunity to make more sales, because they do sell. And I'll get into that a little bit more in this post. So Kindle sells. These graphs here, which are kind of cut off, and I'll show you how to see the whole thing. If I decrease the browser width, you can see you get more of the graph. So this is a new format of post style for me, and I'm kind of learning what works with this format and what does not. And these larger images here, I have a little bit of work to do. So on the second post, I don't think you'll get this clipping that's happening here. So before we get into it, I kind of want to show you this format. So the format, I've got several large photos. I've got these definitions in gray boxes so you understand some of the things going on. I've got these side callouts over here. And then I've got, you can click this and start playing. And this is, it's on mute. This is actually the podcast version. So That's not available on iTunes yet. I just submitted that to iTunes last night actually, and to Stitcher. So once those are available, I'll put a link here, and you can subscribe to the audio version, which will be different from this video version. So there's some things I'm talking about on the audio version in regards to audiobooks that I'm not talking about here. And at the bottom, I've got this video playing. This video is actually me working at my desk, and I'm creating the post you're looking at here. So what I'm trying to do is put something interesting at the bottom of this post, this blog post that I don't see other people doing, which allows you to see me working at my desk, and I'm hoping it establishes some kind of connection with my readers, because it is an interesting accent to put on the post. And as I create more posts, these are to get more interesting. You'll see different things I'm doing with creating the post. So here I'm typing out this particular post. Then in the video, it just continuously goes, and then it loops back to the beginning, and you'll see me. So you can see the desk here, the laptop I'm working on, typing into WordPress. You'll see more of this where I'm working in Photoshop, and I don't know if I'm going to add audio at some point to these things. They're just going to loop. They'll just show basically me creating these posts. So that ought to be interesting. This is me writing the outline for the post on paper, which I like to do this on paper so I can see the full outline. So, a little sidetrack. Getting back to sales. Here I've got October and November. I've got down here on these graphs, I've got US, Great Britain, and the Eurozone. You can see US dominates. The blue is my responsive web design book. The green is Career Forward. So just to summarize real quick, the sales. Career Forward obviously blew away. Responsive web design blew away Career Forward in sales. And that's kind of unfortunate because Career Forward was about a year-long project. Not that I was on this thing full-time year-long. I worked with an editor, and sometimes there was delays where we wouldn't be doing anything. But it started in November 2012 and finished up in November, or rather October of 2013. And one of the problems with why this did so poorly is because I didn't do proper market research, especially for Amazon. And so there were sales, but there was nothing compared to like what happened with Career Forward. Now, interestingly, in November, the Eurozone, you can see in the green here, Career Forward did better than responsive web design in the Eurozone. But responsive web design just crushed Career Forward overall in sales. And the companies I sold in were, I've got that here, US, UK, Germany, France, and Italy. I mean, not the companies, but the countries. So these are Kindle sales. Now we're going to go into paperback sales. Here's the countries again. And in the legend here, I've got the blue is responsive web design, the green is Career Forward. You can see Career Forward just dominating sales, especially in the US, top market. Not much going on for Career Forward in Great Britain. You can see there's only blue here. Eurozone for October, there's only blue again for the paperbacks. But then the paperbacks for Career Forward pick up in the Eurozone in November. So that's interesting. Now if I widen my browser, you can see this starts getting clipped again. So that's just a side effect of these images that I need to adjust. And I will do for the next post. So after KDP, I don't plan to enroll again. These books fell out January 1st for my responsive web design book and for January 7th, Career Forward. I was planning to do iTunes, and instead I did Kobo first. I thought maybe Kobo would have, I would have more sales in Kobo, but that didn't work out. I haven't had any sales in Kobo, and Kobo is kind of a strange creature. I've heard good things about Kobo, but I haven't had, I guess, the best experience with them because their customer service is a little bit slow. It's slower than Amazon. Sometimes I don't even get back to you. Career Forward is still in approval. It has not been approved yet. Responsive web design was approved in about 2 days, and Career Forward is still sitting there. I don't know why. I sent an email probably a week ago. I still haven't heard back from them. So I'm not really expecting much from Kobo. It's not something I plan to put a lot of energy into it. If I saw that they were interested or something, then that would be an incentive, but I'm not going to spend time somewhere that's not going to have any kind of payoff. So certainly now the next thing is iTunes, and I'll see what happens there, and then I'll do Smashwords. I was planning originally not to do Smashwords, but something I allude to in the podcast, you never really know until you do it. And I talk about something that happened with audiobooks, an audio version of responsive web design on the podcast. So I certainly suggest listening to that because it's very interesting. I talk about my experience creating the audiobook and then the sales of the audiobook as well. So just scrolling through this post, thoughts on Amazon marketing. Basically what I'm saying here is there's people out there that will sell courses on best-selling Amazon books and how to become a bestseller, and they'll talk about how they made all this money in just a few days, and they did their KDP promo, and after the free days ended on their promotion on Amazon, their sales spiked. Well, the truth of it is that went away 2012 and early 2013. Now when you run these free Kindle Select promotionals where people can download your books for free, after the free days end, there's no spike in sales. That's just the way it is now because Amazon has changed their algorithms. I talk about how you can still take advantage of that to get reviews because I have gotten some good reviews with my 2 books, and they started off right off with good reviews. And I've actually created a small course, Kindle 4 and 5-star reviews. You can click here and it'll bring you to this course. It's extremely affordable. So you can see here you got $5 and $7 options. The $7 one is basically a video that walks you through everything, and you get a spreadsheet to track your reviewers and the email scripts that I use. So if you're looking how to get reviews, you can see here I've got 4 and 5-star reviews, and that's what this course is about. No list is required. If you're starting from scratch, this course is for you. Of course, if you're not starting from scratch, you can still use it if you're curious of how to get reviews. And so that's basically my first 2 months on Amazon. Talking about December, this was October, November, but leading into December, sales were still doing well. And since then, for January, they've kind of fallen off a cliff, and I talk about that in the podcast also. And that's mainly because I didn't market the books. I didn't have an overall plan to continue marketing the books. Amazon is not going to market the books for you. You could still get sales in Amazon because it is a marketplace, and people are going to find your books, hopefully, just through searches, but it's not going to be this big spike of sales, something you can go live off of. You still have to do the legwork, the hard work to get the sales, even on Amazon. Amazon is just providing a distribution channel and a few eyeballs for you to sell your book, and they handle your payments and everything like that, but they're not out there pushing your book, that's for sure. So that is basically a summary of my first 2 months on Amazon. And again, the podcast will be available soon, I hope. And I'll send a tweet out on Twitter. And if you're interested, you can follow me on Twitter right here. I've got a little Twitter icon. Probably I should put my YouTube channel icon here. And also, I would recommend subscribing if you want to get more of these updates and my other updates, because on my YouTube channel, I'm going to be expanding it and talking a lot about branding and marketing and doing some light financial analysis, which basically gets into going behind the numbers on financial statements and pulling out what is useful about that. What can you use off of financial statements to help your business and figure out problems and figure out where growth is and interpret those things, because they're not always what they seem. So I hope you have found that helpful, and if you are interested in responsive web design, this book here is not a technical book. It's a little technical, but it's an overview. So it's going to talk about project management. If I just go here real quick to the summary, this is a listing of what's in the book. So it's an overview. It's the 30,000 foot view kind of, and it zooms in a little bit to the different areas. Is responsive web design for you? How do you put together a responsive web design? Why not just get a theme? Why not just get a plugin? It talks about those aspects, the advantages and disadvantages, how to plan for your responsive web design implementation, and it talks about also how to maintain it once it's there, which is very important, because you can end up breaking it after it's on your site. Career Forward, just to give you an introduction, I don't think there's anything else out there like this book in regards to MBAs. It is a book that gives you an overview of MBA programs. And what I did basically is talked about scenarios. So if you're working your job, you want to do a complete career transition over into a new field, will an MBA help you? So I talk about that aspect. I talk about if you're looking to move up in your company, will an MBA help you get the promotion? If you're looking to start your own company, will an MBA help you there? Just some aspects of, do you even need an MBA overall? Just looking at that view. Certainly talk about the loan aspects, the financial aspects of that. You know, if you're working and you have a family, and then you want to attend a program at a top school and you need to move across the country, I talk about that, what you should consider. Just a lot of different areas. I talk about executive MBA programs, talk about the one-year programs, just the different variety of MBA programs that are out there, and also about the short weekly courses that you can take at business schools. So there's a lot of information there around that. All aspects of getting an MBA, basically. It's not a book about how to pass the GMAT, which is the entrance exam you need to take to get into business school. But I do talk about the different formats, like evening, full-time, online, weekends, just a ton of information in that regard. So that is the first post that I'm doing the Videocast on. I hope you're liking it and getting something out of it. My goal is to provide you with some information about what I'm doing that's working, what's not working, the details behind it, why I think certain things worked and why they didn't work. And again, if you're into the audio version of something like this, the podcast is definitely for you, and you can take it, with you, listen to it in the car. And this first version, I kind of read this post verbatim. There was a lot of supplemental materials in the podcast that were not part of this right here, this post here. So there's still some very interesting bits in it. For the next one, I plan to not read it verbatim. I'm going to do an abridged version where I go through and do a summary like this, because it doesn't translate so well when I do it verbatim. It can actually be a little bit boring as well. And the format of the post itself, if you want to read it, is going to change a little. I'm going to do some changes with these larger images. I'll add to the bottom, I believe, down here, kind of the action steps. I'm also going to make headings a little bigger so you can see what is going on in different areas a little better, and get some of the main points out of the post so you can scan it better. So it's definitely a learning process for me. And I've got these three formats. I've got the post on the website if you want to read. I've got the podcast if you want to listen. I've got the Videocast if you want to just watch the video. And what I'm doing is I'm starting with the post, and then I'm distributing through these other channels. So it's allowing me to reuse the content. I don't have to create brand new content for the podcast. I don't have to create brand new content for the Videocast. Because right now I've got pretty much a schedule that doesn't allow extra time. So it's important for me to try to be as efficient as possible, and I think we're using this content will help with that. And at some point, I probably will talk about the production of these things. How do I create this podcast? How do I create the videocast? And just technical aspects, because Bitesize Business School, one of the angles I'm doing with it is not just business, but it's business and technical, because I think you need technical skills to run an online business successfully. So I don't want to drown you in technical aspects, but there's certain things I'm going to talk about that I think are important. And I think it's an interesting mix to push the business and the technical together. And I think they are together. They're almost as one. I don't think you can take them apart, especially for online businesses. I think having both skill sets will just make you more successful, or at the least, less likely to fail. So that is the first episode of this videocast. And I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I hope you also subscribe to my podcast. And as well, on the homepage of bitesizebschool.com, you can subscribe here and get the Entrepreneur's Guide to Info Product Marketing, which just shows you how to better research any kind of market for your info product idea. All right, thank you for watching.